Hello, YouTube. I wanted to talk about the new Tower of Adversity and some of the problems that I had with it. Before we go over the exact problems that I have with it, I wanted to talk about some of the positives about the new Tower of Adversity. I think the first good feature of it was actually adding a new floor. At first, I thought it was going to be a problem because you needed four team compositions, but it's actually more of three and a half because you can take the middle floors of the two sides, basically the easy sides of the Tower of Adversity, and you can put like your shitter team to do 2+3, 2+3, and that's 10. And so you can basically only need three well built teams. So you can like bust out your Yuan Woos, you can bust out your fucking Yinlins, these useless characters that basically have no purpose. And like you can clear, your main DPS Alto with fucking Yuan Wu, fucking Yinlin, the forbidden combo from the beta test, bring it back, I thought that was really interesting, and it, it it was cool that I was able to figure out that there was a solution to me only having three team compositions that were in game ready, and to take whatever shitter units that I had half built and then go around and clear the content. I thought that was good that I was able to do that. Another good thing is that the buff is like somewhat universal. So there's like a time to buff that like I don't see why it doesn't start stacking immediately, but it stacks at 1 minute. Like there's stuff that I would change about these buffs. And then like the shield buff, I think that it should last a little bit longer. And it's good that they added that everybody, when they liberation, they puts a shield on them. It's really good they did that, because without that, I think that it would feel like really shit to play. I will say that my only real problem with this buff is if you aren't playing a dedicated shielder that makes a really big shield for your entire party, it feels like you're playing a hologram if you're playing a team that doesn't already have enough hyper investment to just be able to clear anyways. So, for example, my Phoebe team, even though my Phoebe is pretty well built, she doesn't have the damage, even though most of her relics are echoes. Echoes, not relics. Different game. I'm kind of a little Hoyoverse. I'm a Hoyoverse victim, so I get it mixed up. But everything is, if at least 3 out of 5, and it's like it's not good enough to clear. And like maybe it would be good enough to clear if I could like custom make my echoes. It's like, well, if my echoes were 5 out of 5 pieces, I wouldn't need to play as well. I could like take a hit here or take a hit there. And it's just, it feels bad to be tested in a time trial when we're already being tested on can you dodge well in holograms that are basically not timed. I mean, there's like a 5-minute timer, so you can't take main DPS of Arena and do it and clear if you're good. But like, we already are being tested on can you dodge mechanics. And there's a reason why I don't play holograms per se. It's because I don't like the feeling of getting one shot. And I don't feel like we have good enough shielders in order to warrant a buff like this. So we have the two new ones, right? We have Augusta and Yuno, who don't really care about their shield being broken, because I'm going to be completely honest, they're expecting their shield to be broken, but they can just immediately reapply it. So it doesn't really matter if their shield gets broken, because they just literally have it 100% of the time. So for them, they get to ignore any debuffs they might face. You have, I guess, Yuan Wu S4, which is complete horseshit. You have Tao Chi, which is a Carlotta slave. Um, who else is there? Like Jan Shen, is that how you pronounce her name? Like the one that like stands there for like 30 seconds and does literally zero damage to produce a shield that like Brant can cast on his anchor. And then you have Brant, and Brant's pretty good. The problem with Brant is he makes one big shield, but at least then you can take hits and not lose, and you're not losing like 10% of your damage. So it's like they made a game mode where it's take a shield or lose, and we have like three good shielders, two of which don't provide shields to your team. We have one good shielder that provides a shield to the team that's big enough to like go around and like doesn't immediately like gimp your damage. I could be wrong. Like, I guess, oh, what about Verena? When you die, it produces a shield. But, like, let's be realistic here. We don't really have. If you're proccing Verena shield in the game mode, you've probably played so bad that, like, you weren't clearing even if you got the extra shield. So, I think that the buff, while being skill-based, is testing something that we already have a game mode for. And so I personally think that even though it's skill based, it's not good. So why make the video, right? Why am I making it? I think that the content creators, the little discussion of on the topic that I saw content creators like Saint Tontas and Gotcha Smack. I watched their little thing. I didn't watch the 3-hour response video, but that Gotcha Smack made. But basically, Gotcha Smack was complaining that older characters were having problems clearing, which isn't necessarily true. And Saint Tontas showed the most cracked S0 Carlotta I've ever seen in my life and said, no, they can. You can free-to-play clear it with, like, your Tao Chi. And it's not that, like, Saint Tontas isn't exactly wrong, and it's not that I completely disagree with Gotcha Smack. I think that the problem is we don't have... It's that they're increasing the echo quality builds from being like 3 out of 5 being good to like 4 out of 5 being good. Like, getting a build with 3 out of 5 pieces on all of your characters, in my opinion, should be good enough to clear the endgame content. And it probably should be able to clear with some amounts of resets, but comfortably. As long as you're rotating right and stuff like that. Now I think it's going up to like 4 out of 5. And getting a 4 out of 5 piece isn't necessarily like impossible or anything. It just feels bad to farm for when you already have a 3 out of 5 piece, because now you're just looking for like, oh well, I need to custom build it now. I need to custom build this piece so it actually makes my build better, instead of just like... It's just hard. Especially if you're like, you got a 4 out of 5 piece, but it mineraled a bunch of its stats. And so now it's like, does this even make my build look better? Maybe it makes my build slightly better, but like, it's sucky. Like, for example, when like, oh wow, this piece that only had 3 out of 5, but like the third one was energy recharge. And now I got an energy recharge piece, but it's like just slightly too small of a stat to actually hit the benchmark that I want to hit, but it gives me all of the other stats that I want. And so you can get weird situations like that. And I don't feel like we have the methods to farm for good echo pieces because we don't get tubes. I feel like the echo tube economy is really, really bad right now. And we need better ways of farming echo tubes in order to hit the end game requirements now, and we're not getting those. And so I think the easiest solution that we can ask for is a 40 cost wave plate addition to your money, your character EXP, and your weapon EXP, and they should just add tube, like the echo EXP. I think that they should just add that to the 40 wave plates. That way, if you have the tuners and you already have the echoes you want, you just need to get the EXP to level them up to see if they're good or not. You have a slightly more efficient way of doing it. And I'm not saying that the 40 should increase echo tube rewards. I think that the 40 should give the same amount as the 60. You just get more runs a day of the 40 cost over the 60 cost. Therefore, it ends up being a more efficient way to farm echo tubes specifically. And that way, farming the 60 cost domain, the tacit fields are still more valuable if you want the echoes. Or if you want the tuners. It's still better to farm the 60 cost. Another thing that we could ask for that I don't think they're going to do because I don't know why, they just are allergic to doing it, is reducing tacit fields to 40. I think reducing tacit fields to 40 also would be pretty nice. I don't know why they're 60. I think their rewards are garbage for 60. But it's the only thing we have, so we kind of have to deal with it. And I guess a fourth option, another option would be to add a slightly, a weekly challenge that gives you resources. So I don't know, let's say there's a weekly domain, or let's just say it's a raid boss to make things simple. And so there's a weekly raid boss you do, and you get to choose before you go into the raid boss fight if you need the money, weapon EXP, character EXP, or echo materials. And so you go in, you get a bunch of those on weekly reset, and so it doesn't have to cost wave plates because it's once a week. It's already once a week, and you can't farm it multiple times. And it just gives us more stuff to use. I think any of these options are good enough to... they're good enough to at least make it better. Because if you're going to increase HP inflation by a bunch, and then expect us to have better builds, and then not give us any tools to build builds better, build our echoes faster, it kind of feels bad. Because it's not really they're inflating the characters' numbers as much anymore. They're inflating... I think that they're giving a lot of quality of life to new characters, but I don't think they're giving them that much more damage. Right, I think a perfectly played Calcharo can keep up with the modern DPSs. The modern DPSs just don't need to be played perfectly in order to meet Calcharo, so nobody plays Calcharo. And I think it's kind of sad, that the Calcharo needs perfect echoes and perfect RNG to clear with 15 seconds left on the timer, when Augusta can get first tried with a minute left on the clock. And it is the buff. It's the buff. It's Augusta using the buff perfectly. I'm just worried, but what happens when the buff isn't universal, right? And then now suddenly all of our teams that were barely clearing aren't clearing at all. And I think that's a pretty valid concern. So, what do I want? I kind of want an easier way to build my echoes up to par if you're going to increase the par. And overall, I think they power crept in a way, like they did power creep, which is power creep is bad and it's always going to be bad. And sure, you can say that it's always going to happen, but power creep is bad when it happens. But the way Kuro Games did it, at least they added a new floor to power creep instead of power creeping the existing floors. Therefore, you need better builds in order to get max rewards, but your old builds aren't losing you any resources right now. We have no indication that it will stay that way, but as of right now, the way they implemented it, it wasn't that bad. I think my main problem with it was my account was really bad into this specific one. There was a lot of resistances on enemies. Like 2 of my 3 end game team comps had resistances on them on multiple floors. So it sucked. Trying to find where all... Like, it sucked trying to get the damage in. The statue against the rages, actually, were like the most horseshit enemies I've ever played against, man. Like, they did not want to get hit by Brand Anchor. Like, there were 2 of them, man, and they were on opposite sides of the planet, man. Or, like, they were perfectly hittable, but, like, Brant decided to, like, move forward, like, 20 meters on the first one, and then, like, miss him. I swear, man. Every time. They got hit, like, hitting Anchor on those 2 enemies were, like, it was, like, half of my resets of my 15-hour run, by the way. It took me 15 hours to get 36 stars. And while I could tell from like about an hour in on both resets that it was technically possible, I also knew it was going to be a doozy. And so it is, I am making this video because I struggled on it. But, like, I want you to take a good look at my builds, which I'm probably going to put earlier into the video, so maybe you have to go back and look at them. And tell me that, like, no, the crit rate, crit damage, echo skill, 3-cost echo, yeah, it needs attack percent too on Carlotta. Yeah, it needs that too. It needs to be 4 out of 5. There are very few echoes on the characters that I cleared in the middle floor that would be just straight trash. It's going to take me a month or 2 in order to get a piece that's better. If I'm going to be realistic. I don't know. Maybe I get one better tomorrow, but... I'm kind of being realistic. Luckily, I'm not looking to pull any of the new characters, so I'm going to be able to, like, build up my tubes. But if you're trying to build most characters in the game, or if you're looking at the new game mode and, like, I need a 4th team, and I don't want to build my crappy units, I want to have 4 end-game teams, because that's going to be my goal, actually, is to hit 4 end-game teams. I just don't know what endgame teams I'm going to want to run, if I'm going to be completely honest. It's just, when they add in you needing to have your count go wider, and they're not doing anything, they want you to go wider, and they want you to have better investment. So you need your roster wider and with better investment now. And, like, it's not as bad because you can echo share, but it still is bad. And seeing that they haven't fixed anything with echo tube farming since 1.0, and it's still been bad, I think it's time to, like, have echo tube farming. They need to fix it. And, like, this is the first time that I've actually felt it, because I'm gonna be completely honest, you didn't need good builds in order to clear the like in-game content. You just needed your characters to not be countered and to have good enough builds. And now you actually need good builds. And as long as it's just a good build and not YouTuber level builds, I think we're going to be fine. While I had a lot of problems with this game mode, and while I came out blindsided, I also came out as I did come out as a better player. I learned a lot about how my monofusion team functioned. And it was challenging. And while there were good parts of it, of adding a new floor to the Tower of Adversity, I think it mostly brought negative things. And it brought to light an issue that I've kind of always had with this gearing system. And I understand why Kuro Games doesn't want to do it, right? Because if I get fully built characters, then why am I playing the game anymore? I've beaten it. But I will say Wuthering Waves doesn't have as much of an issue with that, because Wuthering Waves is actually fun to play. At least for right now. So it's like, it doesn't really matter that I feel like, oh, my characters are complete. Now I can go have fun and use them. Right? There's like actually, like, I haven't done the holograms because I kind of don't like them. But I might go do the holograms once I get the builds done and all of that fun stuff. Overall, I wanted this to be a discussion piece, though, and so I really want to know what you guys thought. Like, what do you guys think needs to change about Tower of Adversity? Because I don't think it's as simple as, let's deflate the HP, though I do think that the HP was inflated a little bit too much. I don't think that that's the problem. And I don't think they will deflate the HP values down again because of what they did with Whimpering Wastes. Right, they saw that, oh, players are having problems dealing damage, therefore we will give them a damage buff and keep the HP inflation the same. Which is a way to do it. It's just not... The problem is once you start relying on specific buffs in order to clear, it's not that good, you know? It doesn't feel good. Knowing that the only reason why your characters won was because the buff was super broken. I want to clear with my characters, right? Like, you know, and if like the only reason why these old characters can clear is because they're getting giga buffed, it's like a way to make it so that characters can clear, but like, you know, if you're gonna require me to invest a bunch into my characters, I feel like there should be easier ways of getting my characters invested. And I think I've just been repeating myself over and over again, so I think I'm gonna end it off here. Bye, YouTube.